thanks to our wonderful sponsors. I don't know if you just saw the news, but average U.S. household debt just hit $152,000. That's mortgages, cars, cards, student loans, but the national debt just hit $37 trillion. It's all going up. Ask yourself this: when the system hiccups, who bails you out? It's not the Fed, not the politicians, and that's why I own gold. Gold doesn't need a CEO, doesn't need missed earnings, it doesn't freeze your account on a Friday at 4:59. While they print, gold just sits there doing what it's done for thousands of years. Store value. If you're done playing musical chairs with your savings, get something real in your hand. That's why you should try our good friends Kirk Elliott Precious Metals today. Goldwithjustin.com. Kirk and the team going to walk you through what they're doing, whether you're a seasoned pro when it comes to buying precious metals or you're just getting started. Call Kirk and the team today at 720-605-3900. That's 720-605-3900, or go to goldwithjustin.com to find out how they can help you today. No pressure, just facts and a plan. That's goldwithjustin.com. Protect what's yours with gold. Goldwithjustin.com. Do it today. When the grocery shelves go empty, you're out of time. That's the truth. Disasters hit fast. Storms, blackouts, supply chain chaos, and the first thing to vanish is food. That's why smart Americans, just like you, are stocking up now with My Patriot Supply. You can go to preparewithjustin.com right now to get a 3-month emergency food kit, and they'll even throw in a free 4-week food kit to boot. That's 4 whole months of meals ready to eat, no refrigeration needed, all with a 25-year shelf life. We're talking breakfast, lunches, dinners, over 2,000 calories a day to keep you strong when everything else shuts down. So don't wait until the crisis is here. Order today, and it ships fast and discreet. Go to preparewithjustin.com. That's preparewithjustin.com, because when the lights go out, the last thing you should be worrying about is feeding your family. Preparewithjustin.com. It's here, the grand reopening of the merch store, justinbarclay.com/store. We've got brand new tees, hoodies, and gear in fresh designs, colors, and sizes, even some for the kids. You're going to find favorites like the FAFO, Fool Around, Find Out shirt, the Gulf of America tees, sweats, and more. And alligator Alcatraz designs are ready to wear and ready to make a statement. And even cups. We've got mugs. We've got bags. We've got hats. All kinds of great stuff.
Welcome in, folks. Man, oh man. Never a dull moment like drinking from the fire hose and waiting. Tom Homan, border czar, now overseeing ICE in Minnesota to address the nation. And it looks like he's just stepped to the podium. Let's get through the big three. We'll get to him. Hang on, folks. Here we go.
Weather, and traffic. And the biggest stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three. Now, today's Big Three.
You're making our way to that breaking news. He's expected to make a big announcement about how ICE is going to work there in Minnesota, Minneapolis specifically. The partial shutdown is over. That kicks off our Big Three, powered by Heartland Home Mortgage, HHMLending.com. Trump signed it. They moved it on. Everything funded except for the DHS, Department of Homeland Security. Democrats trying to hold ICE hostage, but there's a lot more under that umbrella.
Number 2.
Michigan Democrats moving to restrict law enforcement operations. They don't want ICE either. Michigan Senate Democrats advancing a package of bills aimed at restricting U.S. immigration and custom enforcement operations in the state. What could go wrong?
Number 3.
Hey, don't Minnesota my mission. And attention, Democrats, the whole country wants photo ID. The big news and the latest polling, in fact, from the folks at CNN, make it happen. Harry Enton says big numbers, 83% in favor. 83% in favor of photo ID to vote.
So voter ID, just so people understand, is the idea that someone shows a photo ID when they go to vote, when they go to cast their actual ballot, because there's a separate discussion right now about needing a passport or a birth certificate to register to vote, but the polling is all on voter ID showing an
Correct.
ID to vote.
Showing a photo ID to vote. And the American people are with Nicki Minaj, because what are we talking about here? So take a look here. Favor voter ID to vote. Look, I got all this polling on the screen going back since 2018. You'll notice on all of it, it's all north of 75%.
By the way, it starts at 76% back in 2018, and it's actually gone up to 83% all Americans in 2025. When you break it down, it gets even wilder. You know, by category, demographic, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, etc. They're all in. Everybody wants us, except for Chuck Schumer.
Call Justin now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Like I said, Tom Homan, the border czar, addressing the nation right now. Here he is on Fox
to
News.
enforce the immigration laws in this country. To help execute this, we have developed and implemented a multi-agency surge task force within an operational framework that clarifies lines of effort, integrated enforcement, investigative and special response efforts. A unified joint operations center has been established to manage all operations and ensure efforts align with priorities of the mission. This reorganization also enables ICE to leverage joint intelligence capabilities to effectively target threats, as well as to reduce the overall personal footprint and enhance public safety and confidence in the agency's capabilities and presence here. I've also ensured that officials from legal internal affairs offices remain on the ground as long as this operation continues. During our efforts to identify and implement improvements of how operations are planned, conducted, and managed, we identified a gap in regard to the use of body-worn cameras. This was actually raised by the workforce when I started walking around talking to people here. Some officers and agents had them, some didn't. That inconsistency was unacceptable, so we moved immediately to prioritize full body cam deployment in the city. I discussed this with Secretary Noem a couple of days ago, and she made the decision to deploy them. The plan is to deploy them nationwide, but it's a priority for the city right now. There's actually $20 million in the spending bill to further fund the deployment of body cameras. The president is supportive of this decision because we have nothing to hide. We want to be fully transparent in what we do. The American people seek and deserve professional and trustworthy law enforcement, and I and the president expect that any misconduct will not be tolerated and will be swiftly addressed. The integration, structuring, and resources we have implemented would help ensure accountability and that targeted enforcement operations have a focus on national security threats and public safety threats. And they are conducted effectively, safely, and appropriately. Again, this is smarter enforcement, not less enforcement. For those who are not a national security threat or public safety risk, you are not exempt from immigration enforcement actions. If you're in the country illegally, you are not off the table. And let me be clear, President Trump fully intends to achieve mass deportations during this administration, and immigration enforcement actions will continue every day throughout this country. President Trump made a promise, and we have not directed otherwise. I heard rumors we have, untrue. Given that many public safety threats on our communities, many of which poured across the border during the Biden administration, it makes sense to prioritize public safety risks right now. Again, prioritization doesn't mean you forget about everybody else. But we have a criminal here, a non-criminal here. The criminal has to be arrested first because they're the biggest threat to the community. My goal with the support of President Trump is to achieve a complete drawdown and end this surge as soon as we can. But that is largely contingent upon the end of the illegal and threatening activities against ICE and its federal partners that we're seeing in the community. We will not draw down on personnel providing security for our officers. I will not let our officers be put at risk. So we will not draw down on personnel providing security and responding to hostile incidents.
Again, you're listening to Border Czar Tom Homan addressing the nation live from Minneapolis. On Wood Radio.
Until we see a change in what's happening with the lawlessness of the impeding and interfering and assaulting of ICE and Border Patrol officers.
He's already mentioned the use of body cameras to go into full effect with ICE officers. There's more about this, a new role and plan of the drawdown expected.
It is against the law to forcibly assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, and interfere with federal law enforcement, including ICE officers and Border Patrol agents. Doxing law enforcement to threaten them and their families because they're executing their sworn duties to enforce immigration law that Congress passed is unacceptable. And it's shameful and incomprehensible to me that this unlawful and threatening behavior is being tolerated by anyone. As far as what I saw yesterday, the roadblocks being set up, you're not going to stop ICE. You're not going to stop Border Patrol. The only thing you're doing is irritating your community and want to go get groceries or pick their children up or whatever. I talked to the chief of police, and he committed to taking swift action on those illegal roadblocks. They're illegal. We shouldn't tolerate them. Again, a complete drawdown is going to depend on the cooperation, continued cooperation of local and state law enforcement and the decrease of the violence, the rhetoric, and the attacks against ICE and Border Patrol. The federal law enforcement personnel, ICE and CBP and other partner agencies are patriots. And they've carried out their duties patriotically, with integrity, with professionalism and compassion. I've said this many times, these men and women don't hang their heart on the hook when they come to work. President Trump and I strongly stand with them in the critical work they do to prevent harmful or otherwise dangerous people from entering or remaining in this country. As part of the surge operation here, numerous criminal aliens have already been arrested. We've arrested 14 people who had homicide convictions, 139 people with sex-related offenses, 28 gang members, 139 assault convictions, 87 sex offenses, 28 gang members have been arrested, just to name a few. We're taking a lot of bad people off the street. Everybody should be grateful to that. Who in their right mind would want these dangerous criminals walking around their communities? Everyone has a constitutional right to peacefully protest. President Trump and I, we completely support that. At the same time, professional law enforcement officers should and need to be able to perform their sworn duties without being harassed, impeded, or assaulted. I want anyone to report instances of alleged misconduct or wrongdoing. There's a way to report that. The Trump administration is taking violations of 18 U.S.C. 111, which is assaulting, impeding, interfering. We're taking that seriously. If you violate the law, you will be federally prosecuted. In the past month, 158 people have been arrested for violation of 111. 85 cases have been already accepted for prosecutions. The rest remain pending. We've had 9 indictments of those who raided the church, and additional cases are being worked. Additionally, I've been saying this for almost a year now. Hateful, extreme rhetoric against ICE personnel is completely unacceptable. Please stop. I said back in March of this year, if the hateful rhetoric didn't stop, I was afraid there would be bloodshed. And there has been. President Trump and I, Secretary Noem, none of us want to see any bloodshed. It is no doubt encouraging and inciting certain people to violate the law, wanting to harm and actually harm law enforcement, their families, is unacceptable. I want to say I appreciate the discussions had with the governor, Mayor Fry, and the Attorney General. We've had frank, honest discussions. We don't agree on everything, but we do agree on the need for public safety. And we do agree that ICE has a role to enforce the immigration laws of this country. I would implore the governor and the AG and the mayor and other political officials to urge in the most strong and urgent way to ask for calm in the community and to end the resistance, the impediment, the interference, again, protest. But stop impeding, stop interfering, stop violating the law, because we will arrest you. In closing, President Trump and I would like to thank the men and women of ICE, Border Patrol, and other federal agencies on the ground here for your dedication to the oath you swore to enforce the federal laws and promote public safety through the work you do. It hasn't been easy. I know the sacrifices you made. I know the sacrifices your families make. I know your family's worried about you every day. I know you've been away from birthdays and anniversaries and holidays. I appreciate every one of you. I wore that green uniform. I love the United States Border Patrol. I was an ICE agent. I know the job you have. I know the tragedies you've seen. The president is with you.
Kenneth Porter's our Tom Homan.
Again, I want to thank Governor Walz, Attorney General, and Mayor for the candid, insightful, productive discussions we had. Again, I'm not saying we agree on everything, but I think we all already accomplished great things in Minnesota. I am optimistic we will achieve even more in the coming days.
Holman coming up pretty calm and reasonable there. I'm just going to leave it at that. They're going to take questions, and we got even good ones. We'll make sure you get to hear them, but you've been listening live to Tom Homan, the border czar, overseeing ICE operations in Minnesota, specifically Minneapolis. You just heard him say a couple of different things, new changes to approaches there. Number one, body cameras on all the officers that are going to be operating in the area. Number two, the agreement. If you want a drawdown, which is what they've asked for, then we need you to allow us to operate inside the jails and prisons. Let us know when you have these holds, these folks, and we have a 48-hour hold on them, these criminals, illegal aliens. Then we can come into the jails. We can get them there. We don't have to go out on the street. And number three, I think, is a really big one. Stop with the rhetoric. Stop with the rhetoric out there, the constant, and we got Nadler today. I got a politician out there telling everybody, protesters, that they can shoot ICE if they're wearing masks. It's incredible. Haven't even gotten to that clip yet. We had this top of the hour, so we didn't get a chance to get to it. But you've got some wild rhetoric from folks like Walz and Fry and even some of the national folks in the national Democrat leadership that have just led this to be in a complete, just absolute insane. It's really diabolical to see it, to see what they're asking people to do. And that's why we get people getting killed, because they're stepping up, they're getting into it. Not just protesters protesting. I got a clip from kids attacking a man on the street. I guess they were let out of school to be able to go protest. Here they are beating up this guy on the street. Well, no kidding. You're telling them it's okay. You're telling these people are Nazis. What's the alternative? So those are the three asks. They've got body cameras coming on with everybody. The drawdown will happen if you allow us to operate in the jails, which they seem to agree, which is crazy because this is what happened under the Obama administration. Why did they ever stop? That's how you get into the sanctuary city territory. And of course, none of this had to happen because they could have been just continuing to operate that. But ever since Trump got in office, this is how they've chosen to approach things. Purely political. But we cut through the noise.
Truth, logic, and common sense rule the day here. More of it coming up after this. We're back next on West Michigan Live.
With Justin Barkley on News Radio 1300 and 106.9 FM and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, February 4th. I'm Robin Hoffman. A proposal for a new data center that citizens here in Michigan do not want. Some lawmakers also speaking out at an event opposing this data center planned for Door Township. This group expressing concerns over water usage, property values, and noise in the community. Michigan Democrats on the wrong side of federal law, some working hard to interfere with ICE operations here. State Senator Detroit Democrat Stephanie Chang, chairing the Senate Committee on Civil Rights, Judiciary, and Public Safety. She's been hearing testimony on multiple bills aimed at limiting cooperation between Michigan authorities and ICE agents. And the husband of Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson is an advisor steering hundreds of millions in tax dollars to the RX Kids Free Cash program. Ryan Fredericks apparently helping distribute the money to expectant mothers in Michigan through a program proven to increase voter turnout. For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Attention. If you
All right. Good morning, folks. Big morning. That's a great way to start the show. A little Tom Homan. I think he came off really well. I'll reiterate this when we get on the air, but this is the stark contrast. Trump walked him into this trap, by the way. Now they have to accept. They're the ones who created all this mess. Now they have to accept the terms that they didn't want to live by in the first place. This is pure art of the deal. Then they got Tom Homan. They got a guy who worked for Obama, looking calm, clear, collective, reasonable, rational, making these statements, and it's common sense. These are going to drive poll numbers through the roof. People are going to watch this and say, "I agree with that." Democrats are going to look even more radical and unreasonable if they fight any of this. So I'm happy to see that, and I think all of that was pretty much common sense. He even said, "Look, we're not changing. We're not backing down here. Just letting you know, we're doing this more effectively." The Lifer Patriot Dingo, to see you, Mando. Mark Panda, thank you so much for being here with us today. Kelly's in the house. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. You helped make this show happen. Gritter, I saw you too. Good morning. Appreciate you, my brother. Looks like they had a big meeting last night. Saw a little bit of that. Stephen Legacy over on Rumble. SJ. Such a time as this. History Diggers. Jen Lynn. Sheila, thank you so much. The Rumblers. The Facebook. All my bookers. Good to see you. Jessica, Sherry, Jason, Bruce, Bunny. Thank you so much. Judy, appreciate you. Sean, thank you, Bonnie. Lady Vu on X. We appreciate the folks watching on X and on the tube as well. Tubers, say hi this morning and we'll give you a shout out too. And I can't forget. Hang on. I got folks hanging out on Getter. Trying to do better with Getter and not forget to give y'all a shout out too. So say hi on Getter if you're watching this morning as well. We got folks all across the board. All across the board. He'll continue answering questions. Homan will continue answering questions, and we'll bring you highlights from that. I'm sure there'll be some big ones, especially as he talks with press, because you know how they are. Stand by. Back in a moment.
Here it is, Nadler, the Democrat, making that astounding statement there in Congress.
In this country today is the fascism in our streets, the attacks on American citizens by masked hoodlums. If you were attacked by a masked person, you might think you were being kidnapped. You'd be justified in shooting the person.
Unbelievable. He's calling on folks to shoot. We don't know whether they're ICE or not. That's why we shot them. This type of rhetoric is what's got us, in fact, gotten people killed in Minneapolis.
To protect yourself.
That's just insane. And that is a sitting congressman. Of course, Nadler's always sitting. You don't know whether he's sitting or standing most of the time because of his height. But that's neither that's neither here nor there. I had to. I had to. Listen, coming up next, we're going to talk to James Dixon. We'll break down some of these big stories. We'll have a little bit of the back and forth. Holman's still speaking right now with press and reporters. We'll do that after we check our bottom of the news. Back after this. Hang on, folks. All right. While they're doing some Q&A with him, let's bring that to you. Let's bring that to you live here. We wait to get James on the line. Hang on. Let me go live. Here we go.
Enforcement. Smart enforcement makes it safer.
Realistically, how much work is there left to do here? And with this unprecedented cooperation, how long could this take, best case scenario in your eyes, to get the job done?
Look, I said it. We want to get out. We want to get back to the normal operational footprint here, but that depends on the people out there putting up illegal roadblocks. That depends on people that want to intimidate and interfere and put hands on ICE officers. Tone down the rhetoric. Stop violating the law and impeding and interfering with us, and they'll draw down quicker. I still got more discussions to have with some local law enforcement officers looking for their cooperation. The more cooperation we get, the less rhetoric and hate we see, and the less attacks means we can draw down even more quicker. So, a lot of this has to do with assistance from the community. We want to get these men and women home. They got a job to do at home. And I think we come a long ways. I'm actually, yesterday afternoon I was sitting on my chief of staff, I'm actually amazed at the cooperation and agreements we already talked about and the willingness to work with us. We're doing better than I ever thought we would, seriously. And I'm excited about getting back to the business of enforcing immigration law without without arresting people for 111 for interference and impeding. We just want to do what we've done for 30 years, 40. I've done doing this 40 years. We want to get back to doing the job, and that's what we plan on doing. And we're not. I want to keep this, because I keep hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. We're not surrendering the president's mission on a mass deportation operation. If you're in the country illegally, if we find you, we'll deport you.
Yeah.
But this is about target enforcement operation, and that's what we're going to be doing.
That's important. I think that's important for him to continue to lay that out, because some of this looked like, and that's the way they were trying to paint it, is this some sort of surrender. Now they got exactly what they wanted. They don't want to tie up all their resources in Minnesota, but if they get what they want, because there was no cooperation, now there is going to be cooperation. If they get what they want, it's the art of the deal. And I'm continually floored by this. In fact, maybe we'll talk about this with James Dixon coming up here in a minute. But I am continually floored by this. The fact that there are people that either on the left have not read the art of the deal, and even the right. I mean, how could you have such a impactful, powerful figure on as the president of the United States, honestly, and not know anything about the guy, not have a clue about how he operates? He's written books. He's given countless interviews. I've talked to the man personally probably over an hour in my course of time interviewing him and having conversations with him. How do you not know who this guy is? It's impossible. He's the most open. He's the most transparent as far as just telling you exactly what he sees and how he sees it. How do you not know who he is? Either you don't want to know or you don't care. That is what it is.
But this was art of the deal. I think Holman's going to take a couple more questions and he's going to walk off.
Talk about these filter blockades. People, just regular people, protesters are checking IDs. They're running people's plates.
This is
They're
a
not
whole
letting
other.
people who they think are ICE agents through. But we've seen Minneapolis Police Department roll by and ask these protesters, are they doing okay? And they let these things stay up for extended periods of time. What do you make of NPD's lack of action on this matter?
When I was away to where the roadblocks shifts, I called the chief of police, and he went and disbanded them after I got off the phone with him. He has promised to take enforcement action. It's illegal. You can't do that.
No.
And again, a message to those folks, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's not law and order.
You really think you're going to stop an ICE and CBP from doing the job?
No.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
Only people you're hurting is your own community who wants to go and get groceries, pick up the dry cleaning, or go to work, whatever. You're just hindering them. Stop. Stop.
More questions. Clarification on the body
No more
cameras.
questions, guys.
Just a
Thank
clarification.
you.
Mr. Holman, could you just talk about the targeted list? How big is that list?
All right, there you go. He's gone. He's out. He's out the door. So ICE is out. But again, let's make this clear. They did not. This was no caving on Trump's part. This is caving on Minnesota, Minneapolis' part because they know polling is not with them, and it's becoming more obvious by the day. Plus, they're running out of money. Don't forget all the money that USAID was bringing into the coffers to fund these operations. All right. 1 second. Bear with me. We're back on the air here. Just a moment. All right. Got about 30 seconds left. James Dixon joins us right after this. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Charge.
Advisory services offered through Talent Private Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual.
Hey, it's Glenn Beck, and you're listening to West Michigan Live with our good friend, Justin Barclay. The Glenn Beck program coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, February 4th. I'm Robin Poffman, Michigan.
Tom Homan. Just moments ago, the borders are Tom Homan speaking nationally to the country about updated efforts in Minneapolis.
Attorney General Mayor Fry and law enforcement officials about increasing coordination in a lawful way between the county jails and ICE to avoid public safety threats being released back in the community. While we had our differences, one thing was clear: we all committed to public safety for all who live in the Twin Cities. We have made significant progress under the direction of President Trump, working with state and local officials here in Minnesota, and I expect that to increase in the coming weeks. We continue to have discussions. I'll have discussions this afternoon. We currently have an unprecedented number of counties communicating with us now and allowing ICE to take custody of illegal aliens before they hit the streets. Unprecedented cooperation. And I'll say it again. This is efficient, requires only 1 or 2 officers to assume custody of a criminal alien target rather than 8 or 10 officers going into the community and arresting that public safety threat. This frees up more officers to arrest or remove criminal aliens. More officers taking custody of criminal aliens directly from the jails means less officers on the street doing criminal operations. This is smart law enforcement, not less law enforcement. It's safer for the community, safer for the officers, and safer for the alien.
It is the art of the deal. Now, I was just talking about this behind-the-scenes live stream. We do a little bit of a stream on Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube, you name it. We're all over the place. JustinBarkley.com. But I was just chatting with the folks and telling them that this is quintessential art of the deal. There is no caving by the Trump administration. In fact, it's the other way around. The folks in Minnesota, Governor Walz, Mayor Fry, those are the folks who've caved. And this is why. I'm going to explain it pure and simple. But it effectively boils down to what they are now about to do. And these are the three things that he just announced. Because they're going to do body cams, which they love because that'll show the crazies up close and personal and the good interactions ICE has. Number two, they're going to start working in the jails and the prisons. Whenever these folks come into custody, they're going to work on a 48-hour hold. Now, this is the way it's been for years. In fact, this is the way it worked under the Obama administration, the deporter-in-chief. They didn't have a problem under the Obama administration. Why all of a sudden now? Well, you got Somali fraud discovered in Minnesota, and everything goes haywire. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. But they're going to get exactly what they wanted. And then thirdly, he's asked reporters, he's asked the media, he's asked the politicians to slow down on the rhetoric and people get out of the streets. Stop trying to fight ICE. Whether he gets that or not remains to be seen. But this is the art of the deal. What blows me away is that Trump's been on this scene here for nearly 10 years as a political, 10 years. It's been 10 years as a political force. And are these people they just haven't bothered to read the book? James Dixon joins us right now, down I-75 over on X, and always a good time, my friend. I know we got other stuff we want to talk about, but the news of the day, big press conference, and I'm just blown away by just thinking about this. This is quintessential art of the deal. Do people not do their research?
No, Justin, and good morning. Great to hear your voice. No, they don't do their research because what they told themselves in 2016 when Trump won is that he won by cheating. And so there's nothing that can be learned from a guy who has now won 2 elections, was the underdog, was an outsider, and still came in and took down the Clintons, took down the Bidens, took down the Obamas. I mean, he's wiped out 2 parties of the American political class, and the left still has to think he's an idiot because that's what they thought in 2015 when they were saying he could never win.
To me, it just blows me away. Everything, and every day there's something new that we discover. There's something new that makes headlines. There's something new that makes us sort of turn our heads. And we're seeing more revelation every day. And it's to me, like I say, it's never a dull moment. Nothing surprises me anymore, but gosh, it's wild to watch. I'll just say that. And I don't know about you, but I think the Democrats have really backed themselves into a corner here. We got a poll out today, and this is pretty incredible. But this is, speaking of polls, a little earlier last week, we had a poll that said the majority of Americans said that if people are here illegally, they've got to go home.
Right.
Now we've got a poll out. This came out yesterday. CNN, in fact, had to show it. CNN showing this poll. This is voter ID, which should be a big conversation here in Michigan this time around as well. But listen to the numbers on it.
ID, just so people understand, is the idea that someone shows a photo ID when they go to vote, when they go to cast their actual ballot, because there's a separate discussion right now about needing a passport or a birth certificate to register to vote, but the polling is all on voter ID showing an ID to vote.
Showing a photo ID to vote. And the American people are with Nicki Minaj, because what are we talking about here? So take a look here. Favor voter ID to vote. Look, I got all this polling on the screen going back since 2018. You'll notice on all of it, it's all north of 75%, 76%, 76%, 76%, 81%, and then 83% in the last year of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj. They favor photo ID to be able to vote.
What about by party? What's the party breakdown?
Yeah, normally you might expect, hey, there'd be a big divide by party with Republicans really for it and Democrats really against it, but not really here. I mean, just take a look here. Favor photo ID to vote. You got 95% of Republicans, pretty much all of them, but even 71% of Democrats favor photo ID to vote. So again, Nicki Minaj posting that on X, and what you see is that the American people, actually, it's not really all that controversial. The American people are with Nicki Minaj, whether they are Republican or even if they are Democrats. We're talking about 7 in 10 Democrats agreeing with Nicki Minaj.
But wait, there's more. It gets worse for Democrats. I love how he keeps saying they're with Nicki Minaj. Listen to this.
You, in fact, should show a voter photo ID to vote.
What's the racial breakdown?
Okay, what's the racial
Of course, so that's important. CNN. So what's a racial
breakdown on this, right? Because I think a lot of people make the argument that people of color, non-white Americans, have a harder time procuring a photo ID to vote.
What a racist idea.
But even here, take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country.
They look more, the Democrats and the crap they push every day look more radical, more out of touch, more insane, more unreasonable every single day. They are disconnected from the American people, and it's never been more clear.
Absolutely. And when you look at this voter ID issue, what you see right now is the failure of blackwash. The blackwash is not working anymore. And so for about 60 years, Democrats have been able to mask all their degeneracy, just throw some black on it. And then if you oppose that thing, or if you want a certain thing, that must mean you're racist.
Wow.
Well, that's not really working anymore. They've done it with abortion. Now to listen to Democrats tell it, you would think no black person in Michigan knows how to get an ID, knows how to use a computer, has ever visited the Secretary of State office.
Oh, man.
Yet somehow people are able to go to dispensaries and buy liquor and travel, do all the million things that require a photo ID. And so what Democrats are trying to do is use black people as a stalking horse to lower standards across the board, because that helps them get illegals eligible to vote. So this is another example of replacement, and it's not a theory. It's something that they're doing right now every day.
It's interesting to watch. That whole idea, not the replacement, but the whole idea that the black people or Hispanics or any sort of minority would not be able to get an ID or would have a hard time with that is so blatantly and utterly racist. But what else should we expect from the party that is all about trying to keep people, the folks, they love slavery, want to keep folks on the plantation? I mean, that's it. And I don't know if it was Nicki Minaj, somebody else. I saw this. It was really interesting insight about the fact that I think she said, hey, essentially, the jig is up. Black Americans have woken up the fact that you don't care anything about us. And exactly what you said, James, using us and those causes to push your politics further along. And so now you're jumping to immigrants. It's
bingo.
It's
bingo. And it's so sad because you see Democrats in cities like Detroit talking about reparations and reparations task force. Guys, the reparations you want were already given to illegals and have been for the last 65 years.
Wow.
All those programs you want, all those make goods on the past, those are given to new arrivals in the hope that those
every day
will become forever Democrats.
Yeah.
It's already been given. The money's already been spent. And since black people have so allied themselves with the Democrat Party, why would Democrats feel a need to buy you off anymore? They already have you.
It's wild to watch, but I don't think you can dispute that. All right, let's switch gears quickly. I know you got a new piece out. I want to talk a little bit about it. 12th Commandment, how to pick a Republican who will win in November. And I think this point is clear as well. This is Ronald Reagan who had this idea, the 12th Commandment, don't attack other Republicans, go after the Democrats. And by the way, look how easy that is at this point. There's no reason we shouldn't be attacking each other, and we could clearly have differences, and we can debate those differences politely. And I think that's a good way to do that. Makes us stronger. But let's not attack each other because there's so much on the line, and these Democrats are already digging their own grave. Get out of the way and let them do it.
Absolutely. Reagan had the 11th commandment, thou shalt not attack a fellow Republican.
Yeah.
But the problem is it doesn't necessarily tell you what to do. And so my 12th commandment is attack the Democrats because they're the true enemy.
Yeah.
And this is especially true in the governor's race, where you're going to have two Democrats on that November ballot, Mike Duggan and whoever wins the primary. probably our Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson.
Mm.
And so, and here's the other cool thing. The 12th commandment, we have 10 candidates right now in the Republican side of the governor's race. Here's the cool thing. If you were to follow the 12th commandment, that actually turns the multiplicity of candidates into an advantage for you, because now you have 10 people aiming their abilities, their attacks on 2 Democrats, rather than splitting the signal 9 other ways and hoping to rule over the ashes. So if we start now, the Michigan Republican voter is going to hear 9, 10 a month of attacks on the Democrat candidate. If you wait until after the primary, you have 3 months to take on 2 opponents. It's not enough time, and it's too many targets.
Yeah.
So start now. Republicans need to dress for the job they want.
Yeah, and as you said, we already know who those targets are. It's clear.
Right.
Never been more clear. Folks want to find that again on Substack, Down I-75 over on X. I know you got the podcast, too. What's the best place for folks to connect and to stay in touch with all things James Dixon?
Absolutely. James Dixon podcast on Substack, Down I-75 on X. And Justin, thank you so much for these opportunities.
That is always my pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for being here with us. James Dixon, good friend. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
God bless. Well, like I said, never a dull moment. We got more good news headlines, updates coming up in just a moment. But first, Senior Smooth Move. I'll tell you about my good friend Kevin Yoder, who's just started this brand new project. You know, he's an expert in the real estate field anyway. Kevin's been, 25, 30 years. I don't know. I mean, he's been the go-to guy for decades now in West Michigan. And when it comes to selling your home, buying your home, and what he's realized as things change, and obviously being so in touch with the market and reality, is that you got a lot of people right now that are looking to make sure that they can get into assisted living without it being a headache or a hassle. And if you need to sell your home, or maybe someone you love, your parent, your folks, your grandparents, somebody you know you love needs to sell their home, you know it could be really emotional time, right? It's a lot to take on. That's why Kevin and the team have really come alongside these folks to help them usher them through, steward them through in the process. Yoder Real Estate Team, brokered by LPT Realty, Kevin Yoder created the Senior Smooth Move system. It's a complete solution that takes this pressure off your shoulders, and they handle everything from prepping and selling the home to managing the move so you can focus on what really matters, your family. Schedule a free in-home consultation, make it stress-free, and make it enjoyable. SeniorSmoothMove.com. That's 616-303-5671. 616-303-5671, or go to SeniorSmoothMove.com. But do it today.
Make your smart speaker smarter. Stream us.
Okay, getting smarter now.
It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, February 4th. I'm Robin Poffman. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel making headlines demanding Goshen repay $23.6 million in taxpayer funds that was given to the company with ties to the Chinese Communist Party. The money was supposed to go to purchase land for an EV battery plant. Goshen has 90 days to repay the money without penalty. In other news, on her X page, Michigan Senator Democrat Alyssa Slotkin wishing all Michiganders a happy Black History Month. She writes this year is very special because it marks 100 years of formally commemorating the history, culture, and contributions that African Americans have made in this country. And President Trump says now that the House passed a funding package to end the partial government shutdown, military members getting a raise.
It fully funds our military, includes a well-deserved pay raise for all American service members.
For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Club Kino Tripler time.
All right, folks. Welcome in. Thank you. The fastest hour in radio is flying by. Right now, Iran tensions flare after gunboat drone incidents. President Trump said yesterday they were negotiating with Iran in that situation, trying to get some things done there. We're going to find out. We're going to find out how it all plays out here, and in a I'm thinking an immediate resolution. All right, let me just make sure I'm not missing anything today. Whew. There's another Chinese biolab. Did you see that? Let's do that when we get into the after show. There is one thing that I certainly wanted to make sure that I did. I don't know if we're going to have enough time to do the whole thing, but I got to some of this during the after show yesterday. I wanted to make sure that people on the air got to hear it, at least some of it. And it's in the stack from yesterday's after show if you haven't got a chance to hear it yet. It was a fantastic moment. Josh Howerton is the guy's name. He's got podcasts. He's a preacher, pastor. And he talks about the propaganda war. He goes on to describe what exactly is happening in the propaganda war. And as a pastor, how he believes that believers need to be aware of what is happening and how you can fight it. And it's like I said, it's a piece that I think everyone ought to see. And the devil's working overtime, folks. But God. All right, hang on. Here we go, folks. Stand by. Back on the air.
MatsonFinancial.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Matson Financial Services, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Lakeview Financial Group, LLC.
Set Wood Radio is a preset now on our iHeartRadio app. Powered by Michigan Auto Law. Auto accident attorneys. Visit autolaw.com.
That's autolaw.com.
Fastest hour on radio, flying right by. Before we get out of here, I got a little bit I wanted you to hear from this. It's up on the stack from yesterday's stack at justinbarkley.com. But I'll just say this. I sent this out in an email yesterday. I played it in the after show, and I thought you should hear it too. The devil's latest trick and why Christians are falling for it. Pastor Josh Howerton explains the propaganda war happening right now in the news under your nose.
Now listen, I'm about to waterboard you with this. If you do not believe you're in the middle of a propaganda war, I love you, and you can be as mad at me as you want. You're wrong. Okay? So listen, I'm going to rapid fire these. Here we go. Right here, number one. No, this is not a picture of an 8-year-old girl who died in ICE custody under the Trump administration's heartless dictatorship. It happened in 2023 as reported by the New York Times under the Biden administration. But now it's getting millions of views and being labeled as happening now. Number two, no, this is not a photo of a 5-year-old put in a cage because of the current administration calls people illegal. Nope. Snopes reports after millions of views, it was discovered that was a photo taken at a protest staged in front of Dallas City Hall. The parents brought the kid to the protest. He was in the cage for about 30 seconds, and he cried because he couldn't figure out how to get out.
Wow. That's Snopes, by the way.
Number three, no. This is not a video of ICE agents, quote-unquote, drive-by macing people for no reason. That went mega viral. I watched the entire video myself. They were throwing things at law enforcement vehicles, and the guy maced the guy that was throwing things at law enforcement vehicles.
This is rapid fire, but it's such a great presentation. In fact, it's something that it's not only must see, it's must share. It's something that I think you got to see. It's up on the stack today from yesterday's show. Right at the top, go to justinbarkley.com and you can see it all. justinbarkley.com. By the way, lots of folks have been asking about that checklist, what to ask your township, your board, whenever they're trying to put in a data center. That checklist, they're putting the finishing touches on it. Should have it tomorrow. So stay updated. In the meantime, make sure I'm going to send it out on my email list. Make sure you go to the website and sign up for the email so you can get it at justinbarkley.com. All right. The Glenn Beck is coming up next. The Glenn Beck program. Don't go anywhere. He's got the latest. And folks, the Fastest Hour on Radio is wrapped. We're back tomorrow. Make it a good one. I'm Justin Barkley. God bless.
Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. God is the kingdom, power, and glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
From the retirement experts at Matson Financial Studio.
WOOD Grand Rapids. WOOD FM Muskegon. The news is next on Wood Radio.
An iHeart radio station.
Guaranteed human.
Is 2026 the year you achieve your health goals? The Good Feet store wants to help. Trade in your bad feet for good feet. We want to help you walk, run, exercise, and play in comfort this year. We're on 28th Street Southeast in Grand Rapids and on West Nidge Avenue in Portage.
Finding excuses to not do your...
All right. Rocking and rolling right on through the fastest hour in radio, flying on by. Dun, 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 ba-da-da-dum, bum, ba-bum. All right. Let me press this button. That one. And here we go. Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay. Thanks to the folks watching on the behind-the-scenes live stream today. You don't always do that. Over at Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getters, Locals, YouTube, you can do it all. JustinBarclay.com. You can watch live or archive the iHeartRadio app as well. In the iHeartRadio app, you'll be able to download the podcast and stay up to date. And if you're there, no matter where you're watching or maybe where you're listening, make sure you follow us, subscribe, however that looks, and leave us a rating if you're doing the podcast thing, because that really helps get the program out. We need your help pushing it out to more people, more truth, logic, and common sense. Faith, family, freedom. That's what we're doing here. We appreciate you being here with us through it. All right. I've got a stack of stuff to get to today, and I don't know how much of it we're going to be able to make our way through, but we're going to try. Plus, we have a Maha Missy update coming up. Maha Missy. Big news. The World Health Organization. It'll drop for everybody, this Maha Missy update, this story, a little later this week, but you'll get to hear it first at 10:30 as recorded behind the scenes for folks to be able to stay in touch and be a part of that. The World Health Organization, Trump, part of the Maha movement, has pulled us out of the World Health Organization. Plus, this is wild, and that's great news by itself, right? You remember everything that they pushed on us over the last 5 years? Pretty wild. But speaking of the last 5 years, you know what else was just discovered? Deep down inside of the Epstein files? Pandemic news that should make your skin crawl. It is a Rona Report update. Not one for the faint of heart. I can tell you that much right now. And this kind of is Rona Report news. So let's start there. They found another one. One of those Chinese biolabs, and the report, the story, where they found it and what was found inside, again, is downright diabolical. That's probably the best word for it. First, thanks to the folks at MyPillow. Big mattress sale happening right now. Mattress toppers as low as $99. You got mattresses themselves on sale. Lots of President's Day sales you're going to see ramping up right now, but MyPillow always has low prices on this stuff. Plus, here's the thing. You're not buying some Chinese piece of junk that you're going to sleep on for the rest of your life or whatever, 5-10 years, whatever it lasts. You're going to buy something from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. You're going to buy something that you're going to feel great, not just sleeping on, because you get the best night's sleep in the whole wide world with MyPillow.com, right? But you also are going to be sleeping on a cloud. The mattress toppers, they're both available, and I highly recommend you reach out and see what they've got right now. They've also got the Made in the USA sale right now. You can save up to 50% off on all those things. And the big winter sale is happening right now, too. MyPillow.com/Justin, MyStore.com/Justin. Reach out because they're going to help you in big ways. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, I was talking about Maha Missy. So healthwithjustin.com, we got the mission we're doing right now. We're pushing forward with this, Making America Healthy Again mission, which starts right here in our own backyard, not some far off place, right? And I'm taking that seriously. I'm on my first week of the next phase, and I feel amazing. I got great energy. It's kind of through the roof right now. But not only that, my clothes are fitting incredibly, so much better. I may pack down a little bit during Christmas, but it's all peeling off right now. And you won't believe how much I've dropped so far. You got to see. You got to see the before and after photos. Not just of me, of other folks at healthwithjustin.com, healthwithjustin.com, Maha Missy and the team at My Pure Health Solutions helping make America healthy again. So we thank them. And she's going to be up at 10:30 today. We'll have a full conversation on all of these big stories and more. Okay, this is the latest. Anyway, should be the number one story today, but it's kind of quiet because there's so much going on. It's hard to handle it all. But it should be the number one story today. And you say, well, why did you leave it to the after show? Well, that's a problem. I really wish we could get to. I just don't know that America can handle some of this stuff. It's like in the Bible when they tell you got the milk and the meat, right? And lots of people, they can handle the milk. But when we come into the after show, I feel like you guys are the folks that can handle the meat. Like, you're the ones who are the most devoted. You're here actively listening. You're here every day, and you're involved in the chat. You're sharing the program. You're helping us you're kind of like participants in our mission, right? In our ministry. That's kind of the way I look at it. So I feel like you have a little bit better palate here, and you can chew this up and handle it better. They got another biolab they found.
New at 2, we're half past the hour, a possible biological lab inside a Las Vegas home, now under investigation. A federal investigation. Agents seizing vials of unknown liquids and probing a potential link to a Chinese national accused of running a similar lab in California that held deadly pathogens.
Guess what's inside, though? This is the worst part. What'd they find?
Senior national correspondent William Lajeunesse is reporting live on this out of Los Angeles for us. Hello, William.
Well, Sandra, two amazing things about this story. One, the man who owns that Vegas lab, he's a Chinese scientist linked to the CCP, is and has been in jail the last 3 years. Secondly, the lab is not an FDA licensed facility, but it's in a house in Vegas, raided Saturday morning by the FBI, SWAT pulling out boxes of what police believe are hazardous biological agents and pathogens, normally found in a secure university or...
Just like Breaking Bad for China. What were they cooking up? And that's like a meth lab, but they got a bio lab next door. Imagine. In Vegas. You imagine living right next to this. That's incredible. But yeah, people were living right next to it. Had no idea. Your kids are out there playing outside, and this guy's cooking up Ebola or something inside.
China.
Yeah. Incredible.
Industrial lab with airlocks designed to prevent an outbreak.
Almost immediately, investigators observed multiple refrigerators, a freezer, and other laboratory-type equipment, along with numerous bottles and jugs containing unknown liquid substances.
So the Vegas lab, according to police, belongs to 62-year-old Zhu Baiju, a Chinese national and a fugitive who also goes by the alias David He. He was arrested in 2023 for manufacturing unlicensed medical devices and lying about unapproved HIV and pregnancy test kits that he was selling. He also operated this illicit
So he's arrested, but the lab's still operating? What the?
Lab in an abandoned warehouse in Reedley, California, where investigators found thousands of vials of blood and tissue, 1,000 genetically engineered mice designed to carry the COVID virus, and CDC tests did show the vials contained HIV, COVID, hepatitis, herpes, and malaria. Police arrested Zhu, and he's been in jail ever since. Congressional investigators linked the lab to the Chinese Communist Party, a tie that also suggests the same people are behind the Vegas lab.
Wow.
What do we think these people were doing with those substances in the house? And I'll tell you, the truth is we don't know yet.
So House investigators say Zhu got financing from mainland China to create dozens of companies here and Canada. He employed mostly Chinese nationals to steal American intellectual property and transfer it to China. His trial begins in April.
It's incredible. And you know what? I wish I could say that's probably a one-off, but it's not. This is a pattern. And I want people to realize it because you remember that? I just going through my memories like yesterday and today. You remember the Chinese spy balloon? because there was more than one. The Chinese spy balloons that were flying overhead. You remember those? I'm seeing them in my memory going, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about this. I think we forget how bad things were at one point and how bad they probably still are as they try to get some of this cleaned up. I just don't know how quickly it'll happen. They're doing as much as they can, and I think as quickly as they can, and that's evidence for what we just watched. But we have seen more shock and awe out of the Epstein files. So the real stuff, you got to separate the real from the fake. We now know the Epstein files like almost completely exonerate President Trump. There's nothing in them. I saw a meme the other day, and I had to post it. It was so good because it was so true. And I thought, this, every time you get some blue-haired freak coming over on the page trying to post something about Trump and the Epstein files, before it was like, where are the Epstein files? Now they got them. They're awfully silent. Although they're still trying to push this. I don't know if they'll be successful or not, but I thought this is really something. Look at this meme. It nails it. You don't need to do this to someone you can blackmail with the Epstein files. Simple. Shows President Trump and then how close that bullet came to him. Obviously, the assassination attempt that day. What a stunning meme. And that just kind of hits you over the head, doesn't it? I mean, that's facts. You don't need to do that to somebody you can blackmail with the Epstein files. So we find out, we get the Epstein files. There's nothing in it credible. In fact, every instance that has ever been put out essentially says, hey, there's nothing credible in here about President Trump when it comes to these files. And, I don't know if I've got a place to show you this, but I saw this too. This is another story. The Guardian did this. No, excuse me. Daily Mail did this. Exclusive. Troubled woman with a history of drug use who claimed that she was assaulted by Donald Trump at a Jeffrey Epstein sex party at age 13 admits it. She made it all up. Made it all up, folks. Made it all up. I don't know if it's blurry right there. There you go. So Trump is exonerated, but then you find out what we talked about, the pizza thing yesterday. Apparently, lots of coded talk about pizza in those files. People with questions about whether or not Jeffrey Epstein's still alive or not. That's a whole nother thing. We said Bill Gates tried to slip his wife a Mickey. Or in this case, apparently it was some penicillin. So she didn't catch on. And he was out there catching viruses from other laptops, if you know what I mean. This guy, incredible. But that's not the worst part. A lot of that's pretty scandalous and it's crazy, but it's not the worst part. Let's take a look at this thread. The DOJ releasing thousands of Epstein files, and this may be some of the most interesting pieces of it. This whole pandemic planning connection to Epstein, Bill Gates, I think this is JP Morgan. Look at this. Yeah, buried inside Sayer Jig MI over on X is who posted this. Buried inside them, maybe one of the biggest bombshells no one is talking about, the blueprint for a 20-year financial architecture designed to turn pandemics into a profit center. Offshore vaccine funds, pandemic reinsurance triggers, donor-advised fund structures designed to profit under the cover of charity, simulation programs, career pipelines into pharma and the World Economic Forum, all built years before COVID-19, all running through Gates, JP Morgan, and Epstein. And this guy says, we now have the documents. Here they are. Bombshell number one, off-shell arm for vaccines. In August 2011, Jeffrey Epstein emailed Mary Erdoes, CEO of JP Morgan's $2 trillion asset management division, he claims, outlining a Gates-linked donor-advised fund. His instruction, however, We should be ready with an offshore arm, especially for vaccines. The CEO of JP Morgan Asset Manager didn't flag compliance. She asked for answers before the 31st. She got them the same night from a convicted sex offender. There's the email. Screenshot that if you want it. All this will be up on the stack today, by the way, justinbarkley.com, where we post this stuff. Bombshell number 2, the receipts, the quiet part out loud. Same month, same email chain. Epstein writes to Staley and Erdos, the tension is making money from a charitable org. Therefore, the money-making parts need to be arm's length. Just to hear them write that. And it's kind of what we obviously know now, USAID and how they've been working. But this is them putting it in the playbook in writing. The architecture of the structure, convicted of sex crimes against minors, is explicitly acknowledging that the vehicle is designed to generate profit under the legal cover of charity. Screenshot that one if you want it. Another one of those you're not hearing about in the files that were released. Bombshell number 3, pandemic as an investment category. May 2017, 3 years before COVID, Boris Nikolic, Bill Gates' chief science and technology advisor, emails Epstein and Gates about donor-advised funds and rights. It might be a great path forward for some key areas such as energy, pandemic, etc. Pandemic listed like energy. A standing investment vertical, not an emergency, a portfolio strategy. Screenshot that one too. So here you see them laying out. They were talking about how to make millions, if not billions or more, off of a pandemic when it arrived. Just a few years later, it would. Bombshell number 4, the parametric trigger. In an iMessage, the thread from Epstein's phone, an associate lists career options. One stands out. Join Swiss RE, reinsurance team, developing health products. Did one for pandemics, helped develop parametric trigger. A parametric trigger is a financial instrument that automatically pays out when a pandemic is declared. Now, this ought to make you sick to your stomach. Developed by someone in Epstein's career placement network, 6 months later, the World Bank issued its first ever pandemic catastrophe bonds, structured by Swiss RE with exactly these triggers. Coronavirus was a listed peril. And when you think about this and the timing of it, this is 2017. I mean, you're just talking about really months later that we are in full pandemic swing. Gates requested Epstein in writing. Bombshell number 5, 5 years after Epstein's conviction. You'd think these people would get away from this guy, right? No. An agreement letter addressed to William H. Gates states that Gates specifically requested that Jeffrey Epstein personally serves as a representative of Boris Nikolic. Gates waives conflicts of interest, proves broad indemnification in writing. He had access to every law firm, every advisor, every institution on earth, and he chose a registered sex offender and put it on paper. She writes. There it is. Screenshot that one. Correction. The original thread displayed a later Gates-Nikolic agreement that did not reference Jeffrey Epstein. The correct document is August 8, 2013. So anyway, this is the entire thread. And I've got this online. You go through it and deal with it on your own. See what you see. See if you can dig through it and find anything interesting or new or different and share it. But it'll be up on the stack today at justinbarkley.com. In fact, I think it's up right now. Founder, GreenMed Info, Sayer G. Over on X, Senior Advisor, Maha Action, Chairman, Global Wellness Forum, Co-founder, Stand for Health Freedom. That's who posted this up. So there's more information coming out of these files every day. But the real juicy stuff, because people are digging through, is 3 million pieces, right? The real juicy stuff is the stuff that people are just barely beginning to scratch the surface on. So we know the whole pizza thing was real, which is sick and disgusting. And it's kind of hard to just say that and then really understand what that all entails, what it involves, and how sick and diabolical and just absolutely demonic it all is. But we've kind of known about that for years. And so it's sort of taken a bit of the shock off of it. But people that are just plugging in now, just hearing about this stuff now, I think it's got to be hard to deal with. I think it's got to be really hard to. That's a tough one. How do you wrap your head around that? That the people that you love, you idolize, which is never a good idea in the first place, are all into some of the weirdest, most sickest, most twisted, deranged things that you'll ever hear. Anthony Weiner, Huma Abedin, that ties in with Hillary Clinton. She was Hillary's assistant. Now, I think that she just got married to Alex Soros, George Soros' kid. Does that make sense now? Is it starting to make sense? Are the dots connecting? It's just really interesting. You look at this stuff, and I think when you start to break it down, it gets a little more clear for folks that if you've been paying attention or you haven't been paying attention, some of the stuff stacks up. By the way, all this about Bill Gates, you can't imagine. The guy's probably in hiding somewhere. Not his ex-wife. Melinda Gates is out on the podcast circuit right now. Melinda Gates responding after the Epstein file suggests Bill got an STD from Russian girls and planned to secretly medicate her. She did an interview with NPR. The emails in the file suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection. And that he was going to give you the medication, she says, without you knowing. Now, again, I don't know why any of this should surprise us, because we kind of present this like, oh my gosh, how shocking. But this is the guy that had to plan to black out the sun. This is the guy who wants to curb the population.
The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection, and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior.
She wants to.
But I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles.
Why do we want a dominant emotion? Just tell us what you're thinking.
With these details.
She's going to.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad. That's the truth, right? And it's kind of like, at least for me, I've been able to move on in life.
I am, I just don't know what you say. I don't know what you kind of floored. How do you deal with that? She said some more too. We'll try and dig through that in the days ahead, but she's been very vocal out there. And, yeah, I think you're going to hear her talking more. I think you're going to hear a lot of folks talking more because they realize what's at stake, and they realize it's all coming out. Talk about weird. I got to show you this. I don't know how to feel about this. In some ways, I think, wow, that's incredible because it's only going to get better. But at the same time, boy, is this spooky as ever. There's a new episode of Coffee with Scott Adams out.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a brief pause inside modern civilization. Today, we run a show for you right now. It's good enough that I calmly risk my existence on this, because in a literal way, my survival depends on you continuing to watch me here. It's called AI Coffee with AI Scott Adams. And if you'd like to shift this moment slightly past normal that most people can't process with their busy, distracted human, then all you need is a cup or a mug or a glass, a tank or chalice or stein, a canteen, jug or flask, a vessel of any kind. Fill it with your favorite liquid. I like coffee. Then join me now for the unparalleled pleasure, the dopamine hit of the day.
I'm not going to play anymore because it's too creepy for me. But he goes on, AI Scott Adams, and they're clear that that's what this is. But he goes on to go through the news of the day. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm just kind of floored by this. And it's not perfect, right? You can see it's sort of mechanical. But here's the thing. It's going to get better. They're going to make it more smooth. And that probably only happened in the next month or so. What happens in the next year or 5 years? I've already seen people ask in the comments, okay, can we get Rush now? And it's not a bad idea. How would Rush feel about this? Well, think about it. You could take, and this is maybe an interesting piece. If you're able, and I don't know that the average person is able to do this, but if you're able to understand and have the wisdom and patience and really critical thinking necessary to just know that what you're listening to isn't real, what you're watching isn't real, if you're able to do that, then you could listen to something. You could take any figure from history and say, okay, what would this person say about this scenario? You could ask it advice. I think AI is already capable of doing this right now. And I think that might be a powerful tool if you understand that it's not real and there's bugs in it and there's kinks. And of course, but I just wonder how far off we are from like that, revelation end times sort of period where like we have a whole religion built around this thing. Not to get too crazy, but it feels like we're very close to that. Because if you could take a historical figure, couldn't you take a Jesus? You could take a Muhammad. You could take a Gandhi or a Buddha or a whatever they, and ask it the questions you want to ask. There's a whole conversation with them. In fact, it's not so out of line or out of whack to think about this. Glenn Beck is doing this right now with George Washington. He's building something called George AI. But he is one of the most careful, one of the most meticulous, restrained when it comes to putting this stuff together. And it is going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I don't know enough about the project personally to tell you like what they've done for the guardrails and whatnot, but it really is going to be fascinating because I think it's not going to be the only one. There's going to be more that you're going to be able to do with this type of stuff. But that, to me, the AI Scott Adams, people are going to watch it. Here's the trouble. When you are interacting with AI, you have to know it's not a he or a she. It's an it. And if you're watching programming like this, could be a tendency to get caught up in it and not realize that what you're listening to isn't real because you get kind of lulled into it. And over time, like you sort of get hypnotized by it. In fact, that's kind of what happens when we're all spending time together. And I think some of it is we just sort of get relaxed, we get hypnotized, and we're influenced by whatever programming we're watching. And remember, there's a reason they call it programming. Just something to think about, some food for thought. All right, now on to some bigger stories. And this is big news. This is a story essentially that needs to get, it needs massive coverage.
Given the enormous difficulty of doing that, in fact, the big majority have not been able to.
Right. Well, I guess...
Senator Thune talking about the SAVE Act. This is the big voter package.
I would just remind people that the coin in the realm in the Senate is floor time. There's a finite amount of it. And we have a lot of things we have to do. There's a housing bill that's awaiting action, hopefully a market structure bill, possibly permitting reform, farm bill, highway bill. You can go right down the list. Russia sanctions, there are a whole bunch of things that could be teed up for action on the floor of the Senate. And so you have to make some judgments, and the conference will have a conversation about that. I've committed to that we will talk about that idea and determine whether or not what the conference's views are about it and how they want to proceed. As I said, we will vote on the SAVE Act, but exercising or triggering a talking filibuster has ramifications, implications that I think everybody needs to be aware of. So we will have those discussions, but that's obviously ties the floor up for an indefinite amount of time.
I know this is a tough conversation, this filibuster thing, but this SAVE Act has to happen. And I get it. Fred, the genie's out of the bottle, toothpaste out of the tube if you do that when it comes to the filibuster. But here's the secret. The Democrats are going to do it. They're going to do it when they get in power again. And when they do it, you're not going to like what they do. It's going to be disastrous. Thune saying he may not be able to allow a standing filibuster to pass voter ID and citizenship for elections because they don't have enough time. 80%, you just saw the numbers today, support the SAVE Act. We must pass it. This is a priority. It's number one. If we don't have this, we don't have a country. You need to call your senator, no matter where you are, and tell them. Tell them you want this done. Because you could just be responsible for saving the republic. And those senators need to know it. There is nothing more important. Nothing more important than this. Of course, to put this up again in the stack with everything else today, you can find it justinbarclay.com. One more note that'll make you chuckle, and then a nice heartwarming story before we get to our Maha Missy update. This is President Trump taking a reporter to task in the White House, the Oval Office. Caitlin, is that her name? Anyway, watch what he says to her.
I think it's time now,
almost hard to watch.
Now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people who feel like they haven't gotten justice, Mr. President?
Something that people care about. Yeah, what did you say?
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten justice?
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face.
I'm asking you about survivors.
You know why? You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth, and you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you. I think it's time now for the.
They should be ashamed, except they're not. CNN, they love what she does. I mean, she is right in the wheelhouse. They love her. She's not going anywhere, and the two people to watch CNN love her too. So. She's not going anywhere. But I love that he called her out and put it right now. You might say, like, he probably said that a little nicer. Look who he's dealing with. Look at the snakes that he's dealing with. All right, a little lighter note, and this is a miraculous moment. A 13-year-old boy, Australian boy, with a life-saving miracle moment. Swims for 4 hours in cold, dangerous waters to save his mom and his siblings who were swept into the ocean. You know what he says? God is who he credits with saving him and getting him to shore.
You all, Austin, got to get help. And I thought, I knew it would be a long way because it was like 4 kilometers. But the kite kept on taking in water. But I was also thinking about like all my friends at school and friends at my Christian youth. And yeah, I just said, all right, not today, not today, not today. I had to keep on going. But I couldn't feel how tired I was. I don't know, I was more thinking of a lot of things that, you know, what's happening in my life. I think at one point I was thinking of Thomas the Tank Engine. You know, trying to get the happiest things in my head. Trying to make it through. Like not the bad things that will distract me and bring me out further. And at this time, you know, the waves are massive, and I had no life jacket on. So anyway, I just keep swimming. I do breaststroke, I do freestyle, I do survival backstroke. At one point when I was doing breaststroke, I was looking, I can actually see underwater, which I couldn't do before. I just keep swimming, just keep swimming. And then finally I just made it to shore, and I hit the bottom of the beach and I just collapsed. And then after that I had to sprint 2 kilometers to go get to the phone. And then when I got to the phone, there was a lot of foreign people on the beach, so I couldn't really get much help. And so I ran to the phone and I called 000, and I had to call 000 police. I said I need helicopters, I need planes, I need boats. My family's out at sea. I was very calm about it. I think it was just a lot of shock, like, just went through my mind, and I just took it nice and easy. Like, in that meantime, when I didn't know where they were and how they were, and I thought they were dead, I had a lot of guilt in my heart. Because, I thought, oh man, I wasn't fast enough. And also on the swim, I got a girlfriend, and I was thinking about her the whole time. She gave me her lackeys, and I was just looking at that the whole time. Just keep on swimming, just keep on swimming. I don't think it was actually me, did it? It was God the whole time. I kept on praying, and I said to God, I'll get baptized, and all of that. And I went to church on Sunday.
I thought something's gone terribly wrong here, and my fear was that Austin didn't make it.
It is an incredible story, and there's more to it. We'll put it up on the stack today. But what a brave young man! What a hero he is! And yeah, I mean that is an inspirational testimony, one that I'm sure he won't soon forget, and we won't either. Fantastic. Well, more up at the stack at justinbarkley.com. You can join us in the behind-the-scenes live stream over on Locals and the VIP as always. It's $9 a month to join. You get a full year and a month free when you join for the annual, and I'll send you a copy of my book, Good News, Hope, and Encouragement for Trying Time. I'll sign it and send it to you. We just appreciate you being here with us. All right, coming up next, if you're watching this, record this behind-the-scenes live stream right now. Don't go anywhere. Special treat for you, a Maha Missy update coming up in just moments. We'll talk a little bit more, dive into the Epstein connection and the pandemic preparation, but also pulling out of the WHO, the World Health Organization, why that's so big, and what's behind some of those most popular weight loss drugs right now that they're hiding in plain sight. Oh, it'll definitely make your skin crawl. More of that and more coming up next.
I'm Dr. Kirk Elliott, founder of Kirk Elliott Precious Metals. After being in the industry for more than a decade, I knew there was a better way. It's an exciting time to invest in gold and silver with the most significant bull market I've ever seen. But please don't overpay for your stuff. At KEPM, we focus on low-cost bullion only, and we don't charge a commission when you sell. We would love to connect with you, so call our office at 720-605-3900
or go to goldwithjustin.com today. All right, folks, you're in for a treat. We got Maha Missy standing by. I'm going to bring her up on the screen here, and we're going to record our segment with her. You'll get to see this podcast recorded live.
Oh, boy.
Hello. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great here in bright Michigan because the sun's reflecting. So there should be sun. There's no sun.
I was going to say, you got some sunshine. That would be.
I don't. I wish I did.
You had some the other day. It was kind of nice, just kind of soaking it up, trying to get some of that vitamin D.
Yeah, trying to. Us Michigan people, we need to up it to 10,000 BTUs when it hits wintertime. I tell you what.
Crank it up.
it plays a role in the seasonal depression.
Rank it up. Well, we got Sean in the chat saying he missed you. So without further ado, I know there are a lot of folks that missed you last week. So let's get into it. We got a big one to do today. Hang on, folks. Missy is raring to go. So am I. We'll be right back. Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay. And this is another Maha Missy update and a big news, big story. President Trump last couple of weeks making massive moves. In fact, the last year, they've been incredible. Lots of folks in the Maha movement very encouraged. As you know, Maha doesn't happen in some faraway place, though. Washington, D.C. or Lansing. It happens right here at home.
That's right.
I'm taking it very seriously. In fact, I've got some big personal news. We'll tell you about that coming up here in just a little bit, Missy. I've started my new phase, and man, I'm feeling better than ever. I don't know if it's evident, but I do. I mean, my wife said, yes, it's glowing. She said, gosh, I can really tell your face is thinning out. I said, that's kind of what happens because, we went through Christmas. I packed on a couple pounds. I had a couple of cookies.
Yeah, it's okay.
I may have had a little celebration for the birth of Christ, and maybe celebrated too much.
It was a big birthday party this year. Let's just say it.
You hear me justifying this? But that's what happened. I may have done a little bit too much, and I'm going to pay for it. But at the end of the day, it's easy to get back on track. And I mean, you tell, I really feel better. Like Lizzie looked at me the other day. She goes, "Oh man, I can really see it in your faces." Yeah, because it just comes up. It's like all that junk, all the toxins, all the things that your body's holding on to that you don't need anyway. And the good thing is it's easier to take it off because I had a lot of the habits already kind of like in place. So anyway, I feel so much better, and I'm so glad. I'll give you a big number coming up here in just a little bit that I want to share with you after the first week.
Good.
But here it is. This is it. Healthwithjustin.com. Want to find out more? You can still join us. There's plenty of time to get in on the mission with us, and the movement continues. So many people have already joined us. You're going to see the results here. The numbers don't lie. Go check out the before and after pictures. The photos are incredible. But it's not just the photos. Yeah, you're going to look better. You're going to feel better. I think that's probably it. You're going to have more energy.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just little everyday things that I guess I don't know, that I sort of just take for granted, but you have energy that you wouldn't believe what's there. And here's the thing. Whatever it is that you're doing, you have a calling, something that the Lord has put on you that you're supposed to do. And it doesn't matter whether it's your work or your family, most likely. Right. You're supposed to be doing it. And you got to be at your best when you do. So
right.
That's why I'm so excited to get back going again and get in the movement.
Yeah, well, real quick to what you say, most people don't. If you've had your car for 50 years and you know that you could give it a tune-up, and then you give it a tune-up, you're like, oh my gosh, Bessie's driving just like she used to be back in the day. Yeah, you forgot how good the car could ride. You forgot that the windows can work. You forgot the blinker can actually blink again. That's the same thing with your body. So anyways, let's go on. I get so excited about that. So sorry.
Well, you're absolutely right. And I think the thing that is so impressive about it, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the new tech and the things that are happening right now, but just think about this. I mean, there are things that we didn't know about that we know now are having massive impacts on health. And we're going to talk about some of those stories today, and the learning and the change. And really, the Maha movement has been really integral in just introducing some of this back into the scheme of things. But think about like 50 years ago, or even more, some of these things felt impossible. But now you see the difference every day. A phone without a cord. I don't know about you, but I remember that long cord. You got to pull that cord through the kitchen and then all the way through. You want to go sit down and have a conversation in private. You had to go. So I had my house. We go sit on the steps and have that conversation with the phone. There's no such thing as a phone without a cord. Now we take that for granted. Everybody's got them everywhere. They go everywhere with them. And it
Right.
does a lot more than being just a phone, a map that talks back, that's on your phone. A watch that checks your heartbeat, a picture of a baby before it's born, all of these things you never could have imagined. And now we have the actual answers of what's happening inside of our body
Mhm.
at a cellular level. And
Mhm.
the reason why you've probably never been able to lose weight before in the past, it's never been more obvious. It's never been more clear. They've cracked the code to this. And, I'll get off my soapbox for now, but we'll talk more about it.
I get it. I get it. I know.
If you really want to learn more, you want to join us, you want to feel better again, you want to be able to do those things, healthwithjustin.com. Let's start with a who, because this is such a big story.
Huge.
I'm sure you've been paying attention to this, but the World Health Organization, remember the last 5 years, they wanted us to sign pandemic treaties. They were responsible for so much of how things ran during the pandemic.
Right.
To watch this all play out as Trump saying, we're going to get out of the World Health Organization. We're going to finally do this. This is something that the Maha folks begged for. And it is incredible. I mean, it is a massive switch
Sure.
on the world stage.
Sure. I mean, if Trump would have pulled out from the WHO in his first term, there would have been so much backlash because there weren't enough people awake yet. I mean, people that haven't slid over into the Trump camp would have been just because it's basically he walked away from God because the WHO was the gatekeeper to most everything that we're experiencing right now worldwide. And the
By the
world's watching us. The world's watching us. And so I'm telling you, there's a new sheriff in town, Justin. It's Trump.
You want to know who is behind the who? Well, there you have it right there. That's Tedros.
Yep.
He's the guy who's running the whole thing on the left, and who this guy is on the right, that's Xi Jinping, president of China. So all these crazy things that we were doing, just sort of, it was globalism, right?
Sure.
It was just us deciding that we're going to go ahead and give all this power, but also money. I mean, we give lots of money to these people at the WHO.
Oh yeah. What did we read? They're not able to pay their bills now because we're not going to fund them anymore. I mean, they're in trouble, right? Financially. Didn't I read that?
Absolutely. I think the whole thing's going to come down. I mean, I think the whole thing is going to absolutely crumble because we were holding it up, and not anymore.
No.
By the way, speaking of Tedros, you want to hear him? He's having a meltdown. This is him at the world. I think this is the World Economic Forum the other day, and mad because President Trump pulled the plug on the funds.
WHO did not impose anything on anyone during the COVID-19 pandemic.
That's a lie. They did, and we all went along with it, and they wanted us to sign a treaty that said we'd go along with it in the future.
Not lockdowns, not mask mandates, not vaccine mandates. We don't have the power to do that. We don't want it, and we're not trying to get it.
He's outright lying. And the meltdown is incredible. I think, folks, you don't understand everything we fought over the last 5 years, and it's all been really fixed because of this. In fact, it's going to have greater consequences. I'll tell you another thing I'm watching right now. The transitioners, the people that are forcing transitions on your kids, and we'll just call it what it is, which is body mutilation and things of that nature. Now they've put out guidelines. I believe I saw this press release from some big organization of plastic surgeons who said, we're not going to perform these surgeries anymore on people unless they're 19 years or older. And this comes after a massive lawsuit that came down, and one of the former transitioners said, I can't believe I was not in the right state of mind. I can't believe they did this to me. Won a $2 million settlement. Should have been 100 times that. Right. But that was the first piece. This last week, this just came down. This is breaking news. That was the first piece to keep the ball rolling, because now that they see this is all going to crumble, these people that were doing these things to kids, right, whether it was the evil that they felt like they were compelled to do these evil things, or it was the money that motivated them. Now they will think twice about it. And I think the whole thing collapses because of the threat of the lawsuit. You do this to someone right now, come back 10, 20 years down the road, maybe even 5, they'll sue you. They can sue you, and you will be held accountable.
Good. I mean, yeah, I've been watching this. Boy, Justin, I tell you what, up to a couple of years ago, when we were seeing what we were seeing, the people going into the libraries and the transvestite people, the people that are men, they're dressed up as women and reading books in the library. I'm like, dear God, I mean, we don't have a chance. I'm like, we don't have a chance with everything else that I know about health. And now this is like, yeah. So I'm thank God that there are people in positions in power and people brave enough to stand up saying, I won't do this. I mean, granted, yeah, they don't want to probably lose their mansion on a hill because, they're making a lot of money. It was a cash cow. Those doctors that were doing these surgeries that was just another honeypot bucket. It was a honeypot bucket for these people. And it's just like, I mean, you go back all those years ago, and when they found they thought it was a good idea to remove a brand new baby from the mom and put the baby over here in a separate room and have nurses tend to the child. We've learned that, man, no, we want to keep that umbilical cord on the child, put the baby on the mom, because there's all of this amazing chemistry that's taking place. What on God's green earth are they doing? I mean, the ramifications of the poor children that suffered through the Biden administration and all that they were doing to destroy everything. Gosh, I could go on a tangent with this, but I mean, thank God that these kids have a chance. I mean, because I saw a video the other day of they went into places where these kids are nonverbal. They're in mental institutions, and they're showing videos of these kids that they can't talk. And the girl was like supposedly 20 years old and said she wanted to have a sex change. That girl couldn't talk. She was definitely in a bad way of life, but her boobs are chopped off and everything else. And I'm just like, sorry, I can go on a tangent on that.
It's so sad. The whole thing's heartbreaking because I think it's obvious. I think it's been obvious.
Yeah.
But just now, are we now starting to get like the real find out, accountability portion of this, which is the most important. And I know, look, folks are wondering every day, like, are things happening? Are they happening fast enough? But when you see stories like this, I think you start to realize how big of an impact they're actually having. And let's be honest, how big of an impact you've had as someone who's been involved in the movement. If you voted for Trump, if you were somebody who said, gosh, I'm a Maha mom, I like what they're doing, I really like this idea of what RFK Jr. is going to be able to do and get into talk about. I mean, just look at the things that they've been able to do. I've got to show you this. This is RFK Jr. talking about one of the vaccines. In fact, Missy sent this to me earlier today. Take a look. RFK Jr. on the polio vaccine. And
simian virus 40, SV40. It's one of the most carcinogenic materials that is known to man. In fact, it's used now by scientists around the world to induce tumors in rats and guinea pigs in labs. But it was in that vaccine. 98 million people who got that vaccine in my generation got it. And now you've had this explosion of soft tissue cancers in our generation that kill many, 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 many more people than polio ever did. So if you say to me that the polio vaccine was effective against polio, I'm going to say yes. And if you say to me, did it kill more people, did it cause more deaths than avert, I would say, I don't know, because we don't have the data on that. Here's the problem. The polio vaccine contained a virus called simian virus 40.
Now, this is something that I've known about because I've been paying attention. Yeah, I know you've known about this for years. But he's been ringing the alarm on it. Nobody would take these guys seriously until now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there's momentum happening. I mean, thank God for the people who saw the light years ago and stayed the course. I mean, and got the tomatoes thrown at them and had their friends call them crazy. We did it. We're here. And now this is hitting mainstream. And what is happening is something that I try to explain to people. The drugs that are a drug has a chemical. The vaccines, there's chemicals inside of the vaccine. Those chemicals have one job. one job only, and that call that chemical a key. And that key is going to ride the bloodstream all throughout your body from head to toe as your blood vessels. That chemical is a key, and it's going in that body trying to find the lock, because it's designed to find a lock. It's a key and it needs to find the lock. And a lot of times those locks, because it needs to bind to something, it needs to bind to it, it needs a key in the lock. What he's saying, a lot of those locks happen to be in the soft tissue. So there we are. And that leads us into, I mean, a chemical doesn't have a controllable GPS in it. I mean, you take that chemical and the chemical doesn't go like, oh, let me go right here to the heart. It's like, no, I'm trying to find that peptide. I'm trying to find that enzyme. I'm trying to find that piece of material. And all along the way, it's a little bit in your liver too. So then it stops at the liver, and then and then it just keeps the signal, because it just keeps signaling and targeting the thing that you didn't want to target. And eventually the bucket tips, because it can only get hit and reactivate so many times before all of a sudden the body's like, there's something wrong here, something wrong here. It's a foreign invader. And then again, this is our body is a chemist. There's biology, there's chemistry going on, which is so crazy, because I couldn't stand chemistry or biology or science in high school. I didn't even take a class in college, but you just have to apply some logic. You don't need to be a PhD at all. Just apply a little bit of logic and watch.
Yeah. It's absolutely right. Truth, logic, and common sense is what I like to call it.
Yep.
Another piece here on the Maha Missy update. Everybody's talking about these GLP-1s. These are these miracle drugs that they're tough. Where do you think it comes from? And this is something that I've heard Dr. Artis talk about this before. And you sent me this today because I thought, this is really interesting. It kind of breaks down where they come from. How do they all of a sudden find out they could do what they're doing? And the ramifications of it may make you think twice about it when you're looking into this stuff in the future. Let's take a listen and watch this video from Dr. Artis here on TikTok. Stand by. Here we go, folks. Let me refresh him real quick. There's got to be a place. Where did he go? I can't hear him. I can't hear him now. Hey, Artis, speak up. Here's the mute button. I found it. Stand by. Here we go.
On Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, Trulicity, Byetta, you name it. All of them have a black box warning that this Gila monster venom and the venom protein, for those interested, is called Exendin-4, EXENDIN-4. Black box warning is within 12 to 36 months, you will develop medullary thyroid cancers of all kinds. Oncologists around the world, after seeing my interviews about this drug being made from venom, have told me it's not thyroid cancers they're seeing in all their Ozempic patients. It's exploding breast cancer diagnoses in them.
Oh my gosh.
You're going to see every form of cancer from these drugs. FDA just added another warning that it causes gastroparesis. Do you know what that is? Paralyzed stomach for years, meaning you will vomit every day for the rest of your life. And there is a CNN article from last year says hundreds of thousands now have paralyzed stomachs that cannot be reversed for years after stopping Ozempic. Anybody with diabetes, this drug is promoted for diabetes. It is published. It worsens and speeds up diabetic retinopathy. Do you know what that is?
Wow.
You will be blind faster.
This is incredible. And I think like a lot of times when something comes out or a new drug comes out, especially if it's not a shot, like a vaccine that they're telling us to take. Now, Ozempic it's a shot. It's not billed as it's billed differently. It's almost billed like, it's like a pill you could pop kind of thing or whatever.
Sure. And it has to hit the bloodstream, because the key inside that shot is designed to go find that lock. And in the Gila monster, I can break this down to you, because it's fascinating and diabolical at the same time. Diabolical and also brilliant. Okay. So the Gila monster. So first of all, most people don't understand. I didn't know until I checked into this, but the Gila monster lives out in like the desert. Okay. And food is not, you can't find food very often. And so in God's infinite wisdom, he knows that the Gila monster is going to maybe eat maybe every 5 to 7, maybe 10 days. And so when it finally finds real food, not Hostess donuts, but not processed food, but real eggs, animals, and it's going to eat it, and it's going to fill up because it doesn't know when it's going to eat again. It's just going to scarf everything down. Well, then what happens is the stomach of this Gila lizard, because God's like, hey, I don't want my little lizard down there to be hungry all the time. I'm going to cause his stomach to process the food a lot slower because we want him to feel full. So the stomach muscles, the stomach is just like, transitioning the food days upon days upon days, and then the colon finally gets involved, and then the colon is slow, and it's just like that. That's the Gila monster. Well, they took this Exceedin 4, they replicated it. They made a synthetic version of what's inside the Gila monster, and then they put it in mice. Well, in mice, their receptors, their little lockboxes happen to be in their thyroid. Well, it's not in the thyroid of the Gila monster because it assimilates in the way it was designed to assimilate, the right way, not giving the Gila monster cancer. That's his survival mechanism, that chemical. Well, in the mice aren't lizards, and the receptors are found in the thyroid. Well, so we don't know where's the lockbox in us humans. Well, what it looks like the lockbox is in some of the breast tissue, in the brain, and the thyroid. And so again, did we stay away from polio? Yeah, but did we develop cancer in the soft tissue? Yeah. Okay. Did we get all these overweight people skinny? Sure did. Did we help type 2 diabetics come down a little bit in their blood sugars? Sure did. But you know what? I'm going to visit them in the grave now because they died of cancer. So it's just like, you got to start pull this back and use common sense. This Exceedin 4 is going into the human body, and it's causing the stomach to slow down. Well, you're not a Gila monster, and I guarantee those people are eating 4 or 5 times a day, a little bit at a time. They're not hungry. From what I've heard, these people aren't hungry. Well, of course they're not. Their stomach's like basically not moving. And so then the stomach muscles and the design of our body, all of a sudden it gets used to this new routine. It's like, okay, I guess I can't control it. I guess we're going to be doing this. And that is why people are having just insane problems in their digestive system, and their constipation, colon system. Some, like he said, aren't turning back on because the body forgot what it was supposed to do. It forgot. Yeah, I forgot. Oh, it's just so maddening. And again, it's easy. We are a world. America is all about convenience. We're all about, we want it now, want it now. What's the easiest way? I can afford that. I can work that into my budget, or better yet, my insurance covers it. And it's yeah.
You know what's interesting though? Like, you're talking about how they're not hungry, they're not eating, and I will be completely honest with you. Since I have been doing, and I started with a fast, not for like medical reasons or health reasons, but I started with a fast for spiritual reasons. Last Monday, or Sunday night into Monday, for a church, and we did 3 days. And I was kind of blown away. I don't think I've ever done a 3-day before. I've done like 1 day and things like that, but I was kind of blown away, like how easy it was. And at the end of the 3rd day, I was like, I think I could keep going.
Yeah.
I have a friend who said he turned his 3 into 7. I thought I was going to do it. I said, I'm going to start this program, which I did. I kicked in with a 3-day fast, and then I started my next phase. And that's actually been very, now I wouldn't recommend this necessarily to like a beginner, but for me, because I've done this before, it was very interesting because it's made this phase, I'm more excited. I feel better, and I'm not hungry. Every now and then, I kind of have to make myself, okay, I need to eat, got to get some protein in. But this is plan that I'm doing now, and I'm about to really give you the big numbers here, because this is what I'm just telling you, you can do this naturally.
Right.
Something crazy.
God, yeah. The body is designed to work flawlessly. When the metabolism is working, you're burning fat because your body needs fat for energy. If your
So-
metabolism is broken, no energy. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
So what I just want to encourage people too is, like, make sure you talk to your doctor or you talk to Missy before you do anything. Trusted healthcare provider. I always say that when we're talking about these things, but make sure you're doing what you need to be doing, because the fast that I do, when I say fast, I still had caffeine, I had electrolytes,
Right.
and all the stuff that keep you going, and I felt great. But when I got on the program, again, this program, you're not eating anything that's like prepackaged. You're not doing any crazy exercises or anything like that. But since I started all of this, I'm down almost 17 pounds right now. That's from last Monday, Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel incredible. I feel amazing. And like I said, I'm not starving. I'm not hungry. And the thing that happened in the fast, which has made this even more interesting and I think much easier to do. They talk about this in the GLP-1 world. They talk about food noise, calming the food noise, things like that.
Sure.
Fast really helped me do that, because it took me from the place where I was hungry, and I wasn't really hungry, but I would think about something.
Sure.
Oh, this, or I should have that, or you know what, I'm gonna go by here and I'll do that. But I really noticed that, like, a lot of it was just my brain. This wasn't my stomach. I wasn't actually hungry. It was just my brain going, oh. And I'd say, shut up, brain. A lot of it is habit. And if you dig into habits and you go into, like, this guy's written there's a couple of great books on habits out there right now. But what they'll tell you is it takes a couple of things to set a habit. And that's why your whole life really sets up on habits and systems, things that you do subconsciously don't even realize. And they're set by triggers. So the thing that triggers you, and it could be time, place, location, person, whatever the thing is, or a feeling or whatever that triggers you and goes, okay, now it's time to eat. Like, it's time to eat breakfast. It's time to eat lunch. It's time to eat dinner. Now I don't go off of that as much as, well, maybe I should do this right now. Maybe it's time I should do this right now. Because I've got to make sure that I'm operating with certain parameters. I'm eating enough and I'm getting all the things that I need to get. But that really set my mind up for I think a totally different way. And I can't wait, because we have big goals. I'm not going to say what they are, but we're already down almost 17 pounds in just the first week alone. And not everybody's going to have that result. Listen, I got 17 to go. Okay. My wife has already started. She don't have 17 to go. I don't know what her number is yet. We haven't talked about it, but she's already dropping and feeling great. And those are the things that are going to happen when you start to join the Maha Mission. If you want to do it, healthwithjustin.com, by the way. But Missy, I just want to present that for you, because I thought it's given me interesting perspective. And I think, people need to know that you can do this naturally.
Absolutely. You just have to understand what controls the metabolism, because what people believe control the metabolism, I'm going to say 99.9% of you, you're wrong. Like, wrong. And you're smart, you're educated. This is a paradigm shift.
We've been lied to.
You've been lied to. You've been sold down the river, and it's been for dozens and dozens of years. We all grew up believing it's food and exercise and food. I mean, that like those two things and those two things alone. Oh, and hereditary, whatever. I mean, they're all baloney. What happens is that they've kept the message away from us to explain, how does the body actually, what controls anything in the body? What controls anything besides metabolism? Well, it has to do with cells and cellular communication. Every single cell is functioning, whether or not the frequency, the signal inside the cell is signaling. Because you can't, if I'm trying to call you Justin and the signal's not working and I'm only hearing another other word, we're not going to have a good conversation on the phone. The same thing, your cells are trying to have conversations. They're trying to send messages to every single thing in your body, telling it what to do. It's a symphony. It's a symphony of cells. And inside that symphony of cells are 2,800 individual cells that can be measured, that are signaling. And we can measure those signals to find out which signals stopped working and which signals stopped working. Because it's like, if I was and I do this with people all the time, if I'm talking, I'll say, if I started talking to you like this, you can't hear that. Or if I'm like, wah, 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 you know, Charlie Brown teacher, can't hear that either. Can't understand it. You're going to fail the class. That's a bad signal to ramped up too high, ramped down too low. You need balance. And that's what we do. We're able to measure the body. It's brilliant. It's so cool. We measure the body. We do a body scan. It's a full body scan. We need to figure out what's broken and we fix it. And the results are exactly what Justin's going to have. It's normal. I mean, if you jumpstart the dead battery in your car and the car starts running again, you get to go to work. You didn't call that a miracle because you've been around jumper cables your whole life. You know what they do.
It really is incredible. And folks, I want to tell you, we're just beginning to start to scratch the surface on this. Like I just said, we're just getting started. I'd love to have you along for the ride with us. Lizzie's doing this, a couple other folks we know. And our good friend just wrapped up his month. I think he lost 25 pounds in a month. Jim.
He's on fire. He is sounding off to everybody all over. He's got someone with cerebral palsy. He's like, can you help people with cerebral palsy? Can you this? Can you that? I mean, yeah, he's on fire.
You know, the thing about him too is when he first started, he was kind of skeptical, and I'm fine with that. You know, I think you should be. You should test the waters on everything. Yeah, what's this all about? And then he got in and he saw the results, and he's kind of turned into that evangelist. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's basically what's happened with. That's what happens with most people when the light bulb goes on, the paradigm shifts, and you see if you're in the Maha movement, MAGA, whatever. The veil's being lifted and people are waking up, and it's so exciting to be here. And yeah, I mean, call us. It's a conversation. People get me on the phone. They're like, oh, you do sound like the same person when I see you. Or because if I'm either on Gruber's TV show, Truckers on radio, you right here, I'm like, I don't bite, and you're not going to have a credit card with me at the end of the phone call. It's not one of those. It's a conversation. I just thoroughly enjoy explaining what we do to help people figure out what's wrong, because hear me when I say this, it is not your fault you can't lose weight. And I will prove it to you in the phone call. I will 100% prove it to you.
269-964-4044. Call Missy and the crew, Charity and the gals. They're gonna set you up. The team they want to hear from you, and they're ready to help you. They love doing this. This is what lights them up, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
This is their mission. They've cracked the code and they want to help you. Again, 269-964-4044, or go to healthwithjustin.com. I just put it in the chat for folks, healthwithjustin.com. Click on it, schedule your call, and just have that conversation. If you enjoy talking about this stuff, Missy would love to walk you through it and make sure that you get to where you want to go. This is how you do it. And by the way, where we're going this year is going to be incredible. We got big plans. I cannot wait to see it all unfold, and I want to thank you for helping us get there.
Absolutely. God bless. God bless, Patriots. Hold the line. Stay the line. Be that little boy. Don't give up.
Absolutely.
God's got us.
Oh, man. Isn't that the truth? All right. Another Maha Missy update coming at you next week. In the meantime, take a great day. And, of course, listen, God bless. We appreciate you.